So is on making tough decisions, which is a good topic. Um, this is 1 week before our 52-week, 1 year anniversary, uh, whatever you want to call it. So we super excited about that.
Yes, sir.
Um, but yeah, keeping it thorough, man. It's your boy E Double.
What's up, good people? Cedric Lavelle. And yeah, like you just said, we're 1 week away from 52. It's going to be a year that we've been doing these Keep It Thorough episodes. Experienced a lot of growth, challenged ourselves a lot, created some consistency, created some new habits, with doing this. And it's been fun. It's been super impactful, very enlightening. If you can go back to episode 1 and see the progress that we've made from 1 to now, definitely something to really, tip your hat off for. So salute to my guy E. You know what I'm saying,
Hey,
for
likewise, bro.
laying down and really working to create something special, man. We got a lot of great things that are in the works. A lot of things that we've been putting our time towards manifesting and bringing to fruition in 2023. So, man, yeah, we appreciate everyone who tunes in, taps into the lives, whether it's live or whether it's the recording. Everybody who interacts with the content, leaves a comment, likes a post, looks at the stories, whatever the case may be. We appreciate it. Make sure you tell a friend to check us out. 2023 is definitely going to be bigger and better. As you can see, my boy E got the hat on. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little jealous. I still got the old situation. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. But yeah, bro, let's get to it. Making these tough decisions.
Hey, so decision dilemmas, being at a fork in the road, right? Which I think that speaks for itself. You at a difficult place and you got to make a decision. So how you deal with that? How you deal with that? Said, you at a fork in the road, man.
Man, decisions are something that we obviously deal with every day. You know what I'm saying? There's decisions that you make about, what time you're gonna wake up. You're gonna work out or you're not gonna work out. What you gonna eat, what you gonna do with your kids, certain things at work, but with so many decisions that we make, it's obvious that some are easier, some are a lot harder, right? Some of them have more significant impacts with the decisions that you make. Some are, less significant, not as challenging, not as much of an impact. But when dealing with these tough decisions, obviously there's many things that go into why you decide to do something, whether it's based off an emotion, whether it's based off of a fact, whether it's based off of somebody else's opinion, whether it's based off of a strategy, something that you put in place, a goal that you're looking to achieve and accomplish, whatever the case may be. But there's so many contributing things that go into making a decision. Then when it goes into making a tough decision, it's like, what specifically can you do to make that tough decision seem somewhat easier, to, in a sense, take the ease off of you, make it a situation where you're more confident and more comfortable with making a decision, and you're able to live with the outcome, right? And so when you're at a fork in the road, how I feel is the best way that you can really address it is having a process, right? And we're going to get to some of the questions that you can ask yourself and some of the controllables and non-controllables of making tough decisions. But man, just having a process about the way you go and do things, really having like a process of elimination and kind of thinking things out, having different scenarios that you create with potential outcomes and looking at those things and weighing out your options, your goods, your bads, your pluses, your minuses. You know what I'm saying? What allows you to make progress, or what allows you, or what will make you digress. You know what I'm saying? And so, three things that I recognize when it came to making tough decisions. Uh, one is strategy, one is risk, and the other is ownership. And so, like I just said, with strategy, it's having a process, right? Having something that you essentially would go by to make certain that you're hitting every key point when it comes to making a tough decision. So if it's like, if it's something along the lines with money, you want to make certain that you are crossing your T's and dotting your I's. So when it comes to something with family, you want to make certain that you're being strategic in the way that you're going about doing things, but you're checking things off. You know what I'm saying? You're making sure you hit all your checkpoints in order to make that decision, right? And then when it comes to risk, basically that's just being able to being able to move forward with an unknown outcome, right? Because a lot of times when we're making decisions, you don't really know the outcome of that decision. You don't know the results of that decision. It's just you do your due diligence, you get all the facts, you get all the information that you may need. You have confidence in that, and then you proceed, right? And so there has to be some level of comfortability when it comes to making a decision, and there's a little bit of risk involved. There's, could potentially go good or potentially go bad. But if you have a process in the way that you go about handling certain things and making tough decisions, that in many cases helps, lighten the load in a sense, right? And then the next one is just ownership, owning the results, right? Owning the outcome. You know what I'm saying? Being able to live with whatever the outcome is. And I think that's a big thing as well, too, because a lot of times people will make a decision or make a choice about something, and then the outcome is just not what they're expecting, and it's hard for them to kind of move past it. Or it's a challenge for them to really embrace whatever it is, or they're not able to adapt after that outcome has taken place. And going forward, it makes it even more challenging for many people to make decisions because it's like, well, last time it didn't even work the way that I thought it was. So I don't even want to make a decision now. Like, are you just at a dilemma or at a standstill and you just do nothing, right? And so I feel like when you get to a point where you can own the outcome and own the results of your decisions, that makes it I don't want to say less challenging because it's still hard, and challenging is all about perspective anyway. And some things may be harder for others than other people, but at the end of the day, it's like being able to own those results, being able to be comfortable with taking those risks, and then just having your process. I think that essentially allows you to improve on your decision making and be able to make decisions going forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And really, really, as you kind of like went through that, what it made me think about is the saying, right? That's like super popular. Make it make sense, right?
Yeah.
It really comes down to that. Make it make sense. Um, when I think back through like a lot of tough decisions I had to make in my life, whether it was moving from Minneapolis to Houston, or taking this job over this job, or leaving a job and not having something lined up, or whatever the case may be. It all came down to making it make sense. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like you said, it takes strategy. You shouldn't just be acting out of impulse. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
you can't make decisions just because you pissed off or you upset. And the same should go for when you're happy. You shouldn't just make a
Right.
decision because you're happy in the moment without really thinking it through. And it take risk. I think most decisions take risk, but you can control the amount of risk by one, the amount of strategy, time you took to create the strategy, and then two, just education, right? The more you
Right.
know about whatever it is you're looking to do, the lower the risk, right? And I think we talked
Absolutely.
about this before,
Oh yeah.
where if you're trying to learn something about something, right, and you create a list of things you don't know, say there's 10 items on that list, and you're able to figure out 8 of them, that's enough to move forward. You don't even know everything, but you know enough, and you have a
Mm-hmm.
very good idea, so it limits the risk. And then again, ownership, that just comes back to accountability, right? Like, and if you do your due diligence, right, you should be able to live with the results because you know you did everything that you could, whether whether it works out or it doesn't work out. Because if it doesn't
Right.
work out and you got the right mindset, you didn't fail. It was a lesson
It was a
that
lesson
you
you,
can
you
apply
learned
to the
from
next
it.
time. So
Right.
yeah, take ownership. Like, oh yeah, I fell on my face. Share your story. That's how you can be beneficial. Help somebody that's in a similar situation as you. And you can help them not make that same mistake that you made, you know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely taking ownership. But yeah, when you went through that, the first thing that really popped in my mind was make it make sense.
Make it make
You know
sense, man.
Like don't act out of impulse, plan, be strategic, as you mentioned, take that ownership. And there's always going to be risk, but you can control how much risk.
Exactly. And then, and like I said, some people, with taking risks, some things are more challenging than others. Some people can take on different amounts of risk more than what somebody else can, right? So it's really about tolerance as well too. Knowing your tolerance level. Like, how much are you willing to risk? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? How much are you willing to do as it relates to this decision that you're making? How, with the outcome that could potentially happen, if it's this, or this, are you willing to deal with that? Or do you feel like this is going to be too much for you and you want to kind of scale it back? You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
it's really understanding, like you're saying, that the risk, but also just the tolerance level that you have to have with certain outcomes and being able to deal with that as well too.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. So cool. So moving on to the next section, weighing your options. This section we're gonna focus on, controllable things to help you to help making decisions easier, and then 3 non-controllable things that can make making decisions harder. So when it comes down to things you can do to make decisions easier, the first one is being decisive. And I think this falls in line with like just getting started, which we like talked a lot about before, right? Like being decisive is just, being sure, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Being confident, you know what I mean? Like, you know, um, making a decision and sticking to it, not second guessing yourself. But, before you make that decision, do the things that we talked about. Be strategic, but once you come to your conclusion, and you've gathered all the information, which leads into the second thing here, which is getting all the facts, then it makes it easier to be decisive. You know what I
right.
mean? Because you're confident. You know what I mean? You've done your due diligence and what was necessary. So now make it happen. Be decisive,
Absolutely.
right? And then the second part, getting all of the facts right, and that speaks for itself. To go back to what I said earlier about just going off an impulse, um, impulse can be a crazy thing sometimes, right? Like we deal with it every time you go to Walmart or Target, right? And you was going to go get some hangers, and then you walk out with some hangers, a new
Bread,
a
some
new
water,
nightstand, a lamp,
a
you know what
shelf.
I mean? And then you get to the checkout line, and then you grab the Reese's and a Hershey bar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's all impulse.
One
You know what I mean, you
one
seen it,
thing turned to 50.
yeah, right. You see it, and then it's like you're emotional, like, oh, I want that. You know what I mean? And then the marketing and all that plays into
Yeah.
that too.
You're an emotional buyer.
Yeah. Emotional
Yeah.
buyer, right? But yeah, make sure you get all of the facts and you're not acting off of emotion, right? Like if the tough decision that you got to make is choosing between 2 jobs, then create you a checklist, right? Of pros and cons.
Right.
What are the benefits of this job? What are the benefits of this job? What are some cons of this job? What are some cons of this job? And then you go back and like look between them. And then if they're equal, then put your personal thoughts. Like, where do you think, where would you prefer to be? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, if everything else is all equal, then where would you prefer to be, right? Which one do you think, from the information you have will be better for your career long term? You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
gather all of those facts and then make that decision, and be decisive, like we said in the first bullet point. Um, and the third one with controllable things that can make decisions easier is managing your emotions. And this is extremely important, right? Happiness and sadness are emotions, right? And we just said don't act out of impulse, right? So when it comes to managing your emotions, you also need to manage your expectations as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
get all of the facts, be decisive, manage your expectations, right? Like, and I live off of a motto, and I'm paraphrasing, I always say it wrong, but you know, prepare for the worst, hope for the best, right?
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
kind of how I operate, you know. Um, I'm gonna prepare for the worst. What's the absolute worst case scenario with this decision, right?
Right.
So
And that's
take that decision.
realistic as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the absolute worst case scenario here? And now ask yourself, are you willing to deal and can you tolerate that worst case scenario, right?
Mhm.
If the answer is yes, where the best case scenario, or not even necessarily best case, but you know, if enough things go right, does it outweigh that risk?
That's negative.
You
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what I mean? And you got to go through all of that and work through that. And that'll help you manage your emotions as well as managing your expectations, because you'll know what that low will look like and you'll know what that high look like. And you've already, agreed, with yourself that, okay, I can deal with this. I can handle that. I can manage this. Right. And that's really all it comes down to. Now, when you're making decisions off of impulse or emotional decisions, where you don't think those things through, then you get caught in unfamiliar situations, uncomfortable situations, which makes it harder to manage your emotions because now
Yeah,
you're all over
right.
the place and you get caught off guard. When you get in very uncomfortable situations, which aren't necessarily a bad thing, because certain when you're working through decisions or life in general, you're going to deal with difficult things that you didn't expect. But you want to try to control as much of them as possible, right?
Right.
Which goes back to when I talked about like controlling your level of risk. If you're getting all of the facts, you're being decisive, you're managing your expectations and emotions. The number of those random things that'll pop up are going to be a lot smaller than if you're just out here making impulse decisions and
Right.
emotional decisions. So yeah, manage your emotions. So now I'm gonna list 3 non-controllable things that can make decisions harder. And now this is gonna vary from person to person, right? The first one is the opinion of others. I've said this a million times, and I'll probably say it a billion more. All of us care what people think. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much a person says they don't care what people think. We all care what people think. The difference is how it affects us,
Right.
right? Some people, it affects them deeply. You know what I mean? Where the
Yeah.
opinions of others causes them to change their behavior. Others of us, like me and said, yeah, we care what our wives think. We care what our mothers think. We care what our children think. But it's not going to affect my behavior if I know what I'm doing is the correct thing. If I know what I'm doing is the right thing, it's not going to affect my behavior. I'm still going to do what it is I wanted to do. So that's really the difference, right? So for those who may not have that confidence and may not, be able to, kind of put those blinders on and have that laser focus. The opinion of others can definitely be a non-controllable thing that'll make making a decision harder,
Makes
because
it
you're
harder.
so you're worried about what this person's going to think or what this person's going to say, which can cause you to not make any decision, which is
Right.
terrible.
Which is the
So
behavior. This is like what you just said. And I think that was a key point that you just spoke about. It's like if those opinions affect your behaviors, that's where the issue comes in, because obviously you can't control what another person says as it relates to something that you do or a decision that you're wanting to make. Everybody's going to have an opinion. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? You can do something that's good. Somebody gonna say you could have done it better. You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? And with that, you have to have the confidence in a decision where it doesn't affect your behaviors. If you do your due diligence, you know the facts, you're thinking long term, you know what it is specifically that you're looking to transition to, what outcome you're looking to reach, you know what I'm saying, what results you're really striving for. Like the opinions of others shouldn't really matter to you.
No, it
It
shouldn't.
shouldn't it shouldn't affect you when you know your heart is in the right place. You know what I'm saying? When you know that you're doing something that's of good morals, of good ethics, of good values, and you're looking out for other people and all those things. Like it it all goes back to process. You know what I'm saying? And really identifying what it is specifically that you're trying to get to, and what are your motives when you're getting there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And you know your
And,
motives.
and everybody's not going to see your vision. You know,
Right.
everybody's not going to, know what your purpose is and align with your purpose. You know what I mean? So like, um, like, to go back to being decisive, if you're strategic, you're checking all those boxes, and you made it make sense, right? It makes sense to you. You
Right.
understand their opinion doesn't matter, right? Now, that's not to say you can't still seek advice, and if some of those opinions are valid and coming from a good place, you can, like, pivot and make adjustments, but don't let just all these opinions affect your behavior. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
still got to be true to yourself. You got to know and be confident in your decision making, and know that you did your due diligence, and you stuck to the process.
Now that's a good segue, real quick, because we talked about this. You know what I'm saying, with the Deion situation.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay.
that's
No,
a
hey,
good.
hey, no, good. Hey, hell yeah, I'm happy you pointed that out, because I'd have forgot to mention it. So cool. So I guess really just give your opinion on the situation, and I'll do
So
the
look,
same.
so as we're talking about this, right, and we're talking about the opinions of others. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has an opinion, right? Everybody has something to say as it relates to what somebody else may or may not do. And one thing that you just said that was really critical as well too, and that, actually I said it as well, but your motives. What are your intentions? What are you looking to get to? What's your end goal? What's the impact that you're looking to make as a result of this decision? Right? Are you looking for the betterment of other people? Are you looking to improve a certain space, a certain area? Are you looking to you know, pursue your calling, your purpose, and your vision, things of that nature? If that's the case, then by all means, you have to do what you're called to do. Like, you have to do what you know is in the best interest, not just for you, but for the people that are surrounding you as well too. And
Yeah,
one thing that I've been very privy of, over time, since I was a collegiate athlete and I've played sports, you know what I'm saying, and experience how the process goes with being recruited, and all these different things. I know quite a bit when it comes to like college sports and college football. And just like I was telling you, like in the college football playoffs right now, those four schools that are currently in the college football playoffs are all led by white coaches. The top 10 schools that the top 10 schools in the nation right now when it comes to football, all led by white coaches. Now, let's backtrack a little bit again. With Alabama, Alabama is led by Nick Saban. Nick Saban has put maybe 5, 6, 7 of his old coaches in position to have head coaching job in the NCAA. All that prominent, dominant schools. You look at your Jimbo Fishers and I think like Kirby Smart and a couple of other coaches, but they're Lane Kiffin. They're coaching at big schools, right? And I look at Deion as a person who could potentially have that same level of success, but have the opportunity to put African-American coaches in position to start coaching at different schools, whether it's HBCUs or whether it's at these Power 5 schools as well. But when it comes to success, and when they see that you're being successful, not coaches, but when coaching vacancies come open, they're going to flock to the teams that are being successful. If Colorado is successful, they're going to say, okay, I see what you're doing. Can we start picking from your family tree?
yeah, and if exactly, and it's like, okay, we can't get Dion. What's the next best thing?
That's the next best thing.
Who's in his circle? And so, to touch on that, right? So obviously, I feel like most of the criticism that Dion is receiving is coming from us. It's coming from Black folks.
Oh yeah.
Which is unfortunate. Because if you actually hear, first, I want to point to the fact that Dion has been transparent the whole time. The man did a whole segment. I can't remember who it was with, but
60 minutes. I think it was about 60-minute segment.
Something I can't remember. But he's very he uses social media very well, which is also a thing that helps him with recruiting and things like that. He's with the times. But during that, they asked him if he was to get an offer from a big school, right? Like, would he accept it? And then he said in that interview, well, I'd be a fool not to entertain it. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, so the man was up front. You know what I'm saying? And then my take on it is he's not, even though he's leaving the organization, right, or HBCU, he still is an advocate for it, right? And
Right.
like the impact that he had on HBCUs, the funding, the advertising, motivating others to come and be coaches and to help out, just the attention, right?
The blueprint is there.
That doesn't go away. You know
Right.
what I mean? And more than that, the point that you made about representation, right, with Black head coaches at some of these prominent schools. You know what I mean? Like that matters.
Yeah.
And Dion made a comment, right, in regards to this. He said that, paraphrasing here, but my purpose or yeah, purpose is not at a location but a destination,
Destination. Yeah.
right? Basically saying like my work ain't done at Jackson. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I did what I needed to do there. I brought attention, and now I'm moving on. And the same with Colorado. Anybody saying he gonna be there for forever? You know what I mean? He go there, go somewhere else, and continue to be a catalyst for change and representation and bringing that attention. So I'm happy for the man. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I think this is a positive thing. I think a lot of people are selfish. Like I don't I don't know. I don't know how I don't know the history of how HBCUs were started,
Yeah.
but if I had to think about it, I would say that it probably was about representation, right? A place for us to go flourish and be around our own, and
Yeah.
have representation and grow, build community and things like that. But that's because we weren't getting those things at some of these other institutions, right?
Right.
Like, so at the end of the day, if we can create these same type of environments at some of these other institutions, that's a win. That's not a negative. You know what I
Right.
mean? And if you look at the overall landscape of college football athletes, a large portion of them are Black or African American. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so even at these big schools, a large portion of their locker rooms are Black. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
he's not leaving Black folks. You know
Right.
what I mean? He's
I
not.
I, I
You know
feel
what I mean?
like he's getting in a position where he could potentially create an opportunity for other coaches to be of influence at the, like you said, at these prominent schools where they know that a lot of those athletes are predominantly Black. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Because even with bringing so much attention to HBCUs, if we're just being realistic, yes, athletes are going to go to HBCUs, but a lot of these premier, top of the crop, 5-star athletes, they're going to entertain these Power 5 schools. It's inevitable. You know, the schools in the Big 12, your schools in the Big 10, your schools in the SEC, right? You know what I'm saying? But it's inevitable. And then when you think about the competition level, it's a difference in competition. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to HBCUs and these other prominent, Power 5 schools, different crop of athletes that you're looking
Which
at.
again, I think it comes down to resources, um, which affects recruiters' decisions when they got to make their tough decision, which is
Yeah,
what we're talking about. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And if they're checking off their boxes, and these prominent schools got more check marks, that's a smart decision for them.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't fault the decision. But
Especially
yeah,
when they want it. Most athletes, if they're playing collegiate sports, the next transition is to play professionally. If there's
exactly.
an opportunity to do that, right? And in many cases, let's just say a school in the SEC. If you go play at a school in the SEC, your Alabamas, your LSU's, your Ole Miss, you know what I'm saying? I'm drawing a blank on a lot of other schools. But that's three big schools right there. You know, your Texas A&M, those types of schools, SEC, and a lot of people evaluate the SEC and their athletes as athletes who are NFL ready. You know what I'm saying? And so if my vision is to play in the NFL, now obviously if you're talented, they'll find you, but they are going to look at your competition level as well too. Well, who did he compete against? Who is he playing against week in and week out? You know what I'm saying? And if you're in the SEC and you're playing for one of these prominent schools, you balling and you're doing exceptionally well, your chances of going to the NFL are very likely. That's a dream come true. That changes your whole life.
Yeah.
Now, the difference in what can be more impactful is when you have a Deion Sanders or another African-American coach at these prominent schools teaching these kids and really having a influence on them about just life and certain skills and certain things that you're going to have to deal with as you transition and go to the next level. That makes a world of a difference, right? Because now you're looking at an athlete that just is not an athlete and plays sports. You're looking at somebody that's a well-rounded man. He's educated, athletic, mannerable, you know what I'm saying? Understands his finances, understands his place in life and the position that he has to make as a man, as a black man, right? You looking at it from a different context now. It's like now you're going into the NFL and you're going to start getting all this attention, all this money, but the foundation that was set for you at school, you can build on that. You can grow from that. And now you got a model citizen and a prominent athlete that's just thriving. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's about not seeing things from a surface level. You know what I'm saying? And really just looking at it from a very broader perspective. You know what I'm saying? Kind of looking at different types of scenarios and then looking at the end goal. But at the end of the day, these are all still opinions. The only person who knows what they're doing is right and what their intentions are is Deion. And that's going to be between him and God at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's really kind of, like I said, you know, stop taking things from a surface level and really just kind of like looking at it from a broader perspective and taking your emotions out of it. Because I feel like
and really that's what it comes down to, man. And I feel like we the hardest on ourselves, man, which is unfortunate.
Absolutely,
like
man.
like black folks, like we really get in our own way a lot of the times. Like this is a great opportunity to not just, you know, because he's still going to be an advocate for HBCUs, but you know, now also an advocate for black head coaches. You know what I mean? And at these prominent schools, which is of equal importance. You know what I mean?
And I think that's the part that people are missing. He can do both. He can be an advocate for HBCUs, but he can also be an advocate for representation at a lot of these prominent big schools. You got to start somewhere. And you work
because you know Deion's tapped in with the culture. Deion knows what's going on. Like Deion may take chances on players that some of these other coaches wouldn't.
And
you know what I mean?
A lot of those
and then that'll open up the floodgates. You know what I mean? For some of these other schools to maybe look at some of these athletes that are you know would have got glossed over. You know what I mean? Would have got passed up. But yeah, no, very 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 important. But and really that falls into these last two things, right? Like knowing the outcome. Deion don't know the outcome. He don't know what the outcome gonna be. He don't know if he gonna go to Colorado and dominate. You best believe that he believes he will, though.
Right.
You know what I mean? You best believe that he's been very decisive with the decision that he made, and he's standing behind it. You know, you best believe he did his due diligence and got all the facts before he agreed, and managed not only his emotions but those emotions around him. But when it comes to like knowing the outcome, it's not controllable. You don't know, but if you do those other things, chances are you can have a favorable outcome, right? And then everyone's agreement, which is definitely a non-controllable. You never can satisfy everyone.
No,
it's not even worth trying. You know
impossible.
what I mean? Literally impossible. Everybody's gonna have an opinion. You know, like you mentioned earlier, you know, like in sports, right? Say I'm a running back, I got 100 yards. Okay, somebody feel like, oh, you should have had 120. Oh, I got 150. Like whatever, you know what I mean? So somebody's always going to complain and have something to say. Everybody's full of opinions, and it's crazy too because it seems like the ones who have the most opinions are the ones who really haven't accomplished anything. Those who actually go through things and have also accomplished things themselves have a much more broader perspective and understanding because they know how hard it is. They know, so you know, any progress is better than a setback, and they appreciate and respect that. So what's the impact, right? With many decisions, there's always a chance for uncontrollable outcomes. Though this is true, what becomes a priority is controlling what you can manage and not allowing the weight of things outside your control to hold up. And it's as simple as this, man. Worry about the controllables. Worry about the things you have control over.
Control what you can control.
Worrying about things you have absolutely no control over is the biggest waste of time. Like, truly. It is literally the biggest waste of time. It takes a toll on you emotionally. And then, you know, you're just worried. Like, why worry about things you can't control, right? You know, like, it's like worrying about death, right? We all are going to pass away one day. Like, but I ain't got no control over that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, why worry about it? Why think about it? Let me focus on my health and the things that I know I can do to keep me alive.
Preventative,
you know what I'm saying? Right? You know what I mean? Like that. And that goes back to our episode from, I think it was last week. It wasn't last week. 2 weeks ago, I think, Leading with Gratitude, where we talked about, you know, finding the positive in situations and not focusing on the negative, and really making it's a lifestyle. You know what I mean? Really incorporating that into your lifestyle.
Makes sense.
But
bro.
yeah, you can't worry about things that you have no control over. Biggest waste of time. But so moving on to the next section, process of elimination, knowing how to choose. So what are some questions you can ask yourself? I'm gonna go ahead and take the first two sentences, let you take the last two and close it out. So how can it help, right? So again, what is the decision that you're making, right? One, so we got that, whatever it is. I'm gonna just use one for sake of driving the point here. But say the decision is whether you should buy this house or not. Say you're renting and you're looking to buy your first home. So how can it help? Well, you got to go through, right? Well, what is the mortgage payment versus what you're paying now, right? Is that comfortable, right? Is the house what you actually want, or are you making sacrifices just because you like the idea of a house, right? So really just run through that. How can it help, right? And does it help? If not, might want to reevaluate the situation. You know, it might not be for you, right? If it don't make sense, you know what I mean? If you can't make it make sense, you know, it may not be for you. And then the next on the list is, who will it affect? So does it just affect you? Does this decision just affect you? And then is it for the better or for the worse, right? And then also, like, your immediate family, if you have a spouse, if you have a wife, if you have children, you know, will it affect them, you know, for the positive, or, you know, for the better or for the worse? But like, who will it affect, right? And then is the decision worth those risks, right? Of those people that it will affect, you know? And if the answer is yes, then cool, go with it. If the answer is no, or there's some uncertainty, then maybe you need to go back to that, you know, how can it help, and really, you know, get more information. Maybe you're lacking some information if you can't answer that question, right? And then I'll let you take the last two cents.
For sure. So next one, what are the facts, right? So you want to gather all the information that you need. What do you need to know? What do you need to learn? Who do you need to ask questions to? You want to do all these things, right? What are the facts? And by understanding the facts, obviously that gives you a different level of confidence, because you know all the answers. You know what it is specifically that you're looking for. You know what it is specifically that you want. And you're not basing those things off of just emotions. You're basing it off of facts. You're not basing it off of opinions. You're basing it off of a fact. I know this is the fact. If I do this, this is going to happen. I know if I do this, this is going to happen, based off of the facts that I have and the information that I've gathered. So when you know the facts, that allows you to eliminate all the other fluff that can come into a decision that really doesn't help you, that really doesn't have an impact on you, or that really doesn't progress your ideas or your visions forward. Then the next one is, what outcome can you handle? And we've kind of been, but we've been talking about this throughout the whole thing. The outcomes. Are you able to deal with what the outcome is going to be? Are you able to proceed and move forward if things work out well, or if things don't work out well? What are you willing to, you know, take on? How much are you willing to take on? How much of a risk are you willing to take on? How will you be able to manage your emotions when the outcome is presented? Because again, like we said, a lot of times you're not going to know the outcome. You're not going to know the results of a decision that you make until you make the decision, right?
Exactly.
Until you're living in it. And so when you do it, it's like, okay, I thought about this. I thought this through. I went through my processes. I checked all my boxes. I kind of figured this potentially happened. So now I know how to adjust to it, right? I kind of figured this could potentially happen. So now I know how to adjust to it. It's like E said earlier, you know, I prepare for the worst, but I hope for the best, right? And so when you're already in a stage where you're having these different scenarios playing in your head, and you're, you know, attaching solutions to those potential scenarios, now that gives you another level of confidence and assurance with making your decisions, because you know the correct way to go about handling things whenever something else or the unexpected may happen. And that makes, you know, your tough decisions seem a lot easier. You know what I'm saying? It takes the load off of you somewhat, and it makes you more confident. It makes you more decisive, and it makes you more effective in your decision making as well too. You know what I'm saying?
No,
So,
definitely.
when we go final thought,
Yeah.
I'll bet. So, all right, final thought. Being faced with tough decisions is an unavoidable moment that everyone experiences. To get to a final result, it will require removing ideals and potential outcomes that don't meet your needs or align with your purpose. By being thorough in your assessment and decisive with your actions, you can make wise and confident choices, right? And so, like we said, man, tough decisions, that's just a part of life, right? And with anything that requires, oh well, with anything that you want to perfect and build, it requires you to exercise certain behaviors in order to build it. You want to get better at shooting the basketball, you got to exercise those movements and do it. You want to get better at your health, you got to move your body and exercise. You want to get better at decision making, you got to get in some situations where you got to make some tough decisions, right? And when you get in those situations, you just use your process, use your strategies, and then from there, that makes you a more effective and beneficial decision maker rather. And now going forward, when you're faced with these different challenges and different things, and people may ask you questions or something like that, you can be decisive, right? You know what I'm saying? You've been in this role before, and now it's just, you know, rinse and repeat. You know what I'm saying? I've done this process before. This the decision may be different, or this situation may be different, but the process to get to a decision that you're comfortable with is going to always be the same.
Yeah. You know, good shit, man, for real. So, hey, making tough decisions, right? It's as tough as you make it, really, at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yeah.
And make it make sense. Um, so with all that said, man, and we greatly appreciate y'all as always. Everybody who tunes in live, everybody who goes back and watches the episodes. As we mentioned at the top of the episode, it's week 50, 51. Next week is 52, so a year that we've been doing this. So we're gonna knock out that episode, and then we're gonna take a little break for the end of the year, the last couple weeks of the year. Then we're gonna come back top of 2023, kick off season 2. And we got a lot of good stuff lined up for y'all. Websites and things of that nature should be up. Y'all should be able to purchase the merch, or, you know, around that time. And so yeah, we super excited. The link in the bio for the kits is not updated, having some technical issues there. But like all of that type of stuff will be ironed out once we kick off season 2. And hopefully I can go ahead and get that fixed by our episode next week. But so you can't view the kits after I think week 40, like 40, 43 right now. But all of the lives are on our page, on the Instagram page, so you can go back and check out the episode until we can get the kits, the remaining kits up. But like I said, man, as always, greatly appreciate y'all. And we'll be back next week. So if you have nothing else,
I'll even go as far as saying this as well too. If there is an episode where you wanted to see the kit, just shoot us a direct message, and we can
Oh
get the
yeah, we
clip
can send
too.
it to you.
We'll
Yeah,
just send you
yeah,
direct
we
message,
definitely
so
send it to you. Yeah.
we can do that as well too. But
So
yeah,
good point. Good point. But
you
hey,
got it.
so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, man. If you don't do nothing else,
Yeah,
keep it thorough.
thorough.
We'll holler at y'all next week.
Peace
Deuces.
out.